What's up? This video is all about recoil management. I'm going to give you a few tools or drills to self-diagnose your recoil management to ensure fast, effective hits on target. So stay tuned.
Yeah, the other teams are moving in the background.
Welcome back, Carlos here with the Rage Driving Tactical. On this channel, we create content full of these little tips, techniques, and or drills just like this one. So if you want to build and or expand your tactical knowledge base, hit that subscribe button and notification bell to catch all my latest videos. All right, when it comes to recoil management, there are two main factors that kind of come into play. Number one is going to be grip on the pistol, right? Proper pistol grip is going to be the key to, success, right? If you haven't seen my video on proper pistol grip, check that one out because I laid the foundation from A to Z on proper pistol grip to ensure maximum effectiveness, right? So that's key number one. Number two is driving the gun down through the recoil cycle, which is referred to as managing recoil. Now, let me distinguish here. There are two main differences, right? There is anticipating recoil, which is very, very, very bad, and then there is managing recoil, which is very, very good, and they look almost identical, right? So the difference between one or the other, and the way to distinguish is you're going to need a partner, and he's going to observe you go through what I'm about to discuss here, right? So if I pull the trigger and then dip the gun, that is very, very good because I am managing the recoil. I knew that gun was going to come back and I was driving it down for a follow-up shot. If I dip the gun and then pull the trigger, that is very, very, very bad because now I am anticipating the recoil, and that's usually going to result in low left shots, right? So as you can tell, they're almost identical because I'm doing the same motion. I'm pulling the trigger and driving the gun down. The only difference is one is after I've pulled the trigger and the other one is before I pull the trigger, right? So have your partner stand next to you and observe you take those shots, right? A good way to do this is, get a magazine, set it up with a mixture of live rounds, 3 or 4 live rounds, followed by a dummy round, and it'll highlight or kind of illustrate a little bit better what you're doing, and have your partner pay close attention to what you're doing. If you're pulling the trigger and then dipping, which is good, or if you're dipping and then pulling the trigger. So that's key number one, is distinguishing whether you are anticipating or managing recoil. All right, now that we understand the difference between managing recoil, which is very, very good, and anticipating recoil, the next thing we do is called the bar drill, right? All you need is a piece of paper with 1-inch bar strips or rectangles spaced about 1 inch apart. The goal of this drill is, number one, is to help reinforce that driving the gun back down, and number two, it gives you a visual reference point on how well you're managing recoil, right? The goal of this is to aim at the black bar here. As I pull the trigger, obviously my gun's going to go through the recoil cycle, and I'm going to observe how far from that black bar my sights come. Do I go to the 1, the 2, or the 3, right? And as soon as I see that, I want to drive it back down to that black bar as quickly and as effectively as possible, right? Now, a couple things to note here. If you notice that you're completely coming off the target, first, you're not driving the gun. Number two, it might be your grip, so make sure you have a good, proper grip on that. Another little thing here, if you don't have access to a printer or you want to do this just on the cardboard there, you can do this yourself. I did the same thing here. I just took a white sheet of paper, drew some rectangular bars, spaced them out about 1 inch apart, and numbered them. So I'm going to get the same visual results from this as I am from this, right? All right. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to do this from about the 5-yard line. I'm going to demo it so you can see it, and then I'm going to talk you through it. But again, I want to observe how far my sights are coming off from my point of aim, and then instantly drive that gun right back down to my point of aim. All right, start off with a good tight grip and driving the gun, right? So aiming at the black bar there. All right, very little movement. I've got a good pace on it, but I'm driving the gun My gun isn't even coming that far off from the black, just barely breaking into the white. Now, let me show you kind of what bad looks like, right? I'm going to let that gun linger and drive it back. So watch, go in there, drive it, come back down, bad, right? Bad. Now, if I have a bad grip, right, my gun's going to recoil out. So I'm basically just going to loose grip the gun. Look what happens when I pull the trigger with a bad grip. See all that, how far that gun jumps? Well, that's because of the bad grips, right? Those two things are key to recoil management. Nice tight grip, good effective pressure and driving the gun down. All right, that's the drill there, kind of to manage recoil. Hopefully you understand now the difference between managing recoil and anticipating recoil, and a good little drill to give you a visual reference of what's happening as you're pulling the trigger. As always, if you found this information valuable, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe, as it truly does help. With that, stay safe and train hard.